Hello and welcome to Math 251, Calculus 1 here at Cañada College. My name is Lapuz and I'm the instructor for the course. In this video we will take a look at limit laws, section 2.3. The idea behind this section is to create a bunch of laws or come up with some properties that will allow us to algebraically or symbolically find limits. We want to be able to recognize and use these laws and use some algebraic techniques to find the limits in a symbolic way. Here are a few laws that are listed in this section. We have the sum law, which tells us that the limit of a sum is the sum of the limits. That goes for the difference as well. If we have something that's being multiplied by a constant, it's like taking the constant out and finding the limit of the function. The product and the quotient laws are the same for limits. That is to say that the limit of a product or a quotient is the product or the quotient of the limits. And of course the quotient, we just want to make sure that the limit in the denominator does not go to 0. We have the power law and the root law as well. These laws for limits allow us to compute limits almost as easy as evaluating functions themselves. But we do have to be careful when we run into the limit where the top and the bottom, if we have a fraction, the numerator and the denominator goes to 0, both go to 0, and we'll have to deal with that a little bit separately. And for that, later on we will have a fancy theorem or a fancy rule to deal with these things that are called indeterminate forms. But for now, what we want to do is use some basic algebra to rewrite your expression so that things might cancel and then you won't have an indeterminate form of 0 over 0 anymore. So there are things to do, like if you have a polynomial, you can factor out the polynomials in the top and the bottom, and hopefully we can cancel the things that they have in common. If you have a square root in the numerator or denominator, you can try multiplying by conjugate. Or if you have a complex fraction, you can simplify it into a simpler fraction, and then hopefully things would cancel again, so you won't have a 0 over 0. So those are some basic ideas behind using limit laws to find limits. And then towards the end of this section, we will be looking at this thing called the squeeze theorem. The squeeze theorem says that if you have a function, you're looking for the limit of a particular function, but you know two other functions that kind of squeeze this function at a particular point. Then you can use what's called the squeeze theorem. So the squeeze theorem is stated here in words, and then you can see a graphic representation of the squeeze theorem as well. Okay, that is our overview for section 2.3. Good luck.